What lurks beneath them like familiar sounds of the night surrounded me. The soft hum of the air conditioner, the distant hoot of an owl, and the rhythmic breathing of my family members as they slept. The darkness in my room was almost palpable, but I was used to it. I had always been a night owl, finding solace in the stillness that the night brought. Tonight felt different, though. A lingering unease settled in the pit of my stomach as I crawled into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin. I felt like a child again, vulnerable and exposed. I tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to the stress of the past week. But deep down, I knew something was off. As I lay there, tossing and turning, I heard it, a faint scratching sound coming from beneath my bed. My heart raced as I held my breath, hoping it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But then it happened again, louder this time, more deliberate. Fear gripped me as I considered the possibility of an intruder or worse, something otherworldly, summoning every ounce of courage. I slowly leaned over the side of the bed, peering into the darkness below. My eyes strained to adjust, searching for any sign of movement. Just when I was about to dismiss it as a figment of my imagination, a pair of glowing eyes met mine, filled with malice and intent. Panic surged through me as a cold sweat broke out across my forehead. I recoiled in horror, scrambling to the other side of the room. Whatever was under my bed was no longer human. It was a creature of nightmares, a harbinger of doom. As I sat there, paralyzed with fear, the creature began to emerge from its hiding place. Its grotesque form was illuminated by the pale moonlight streaming through the window, revealing a nightmarish visage that defied description. Its elongated limbs, razor-sharp claws, and devilish grin sent shivers down my spine. Tears streamed down my face as I realized the gravity of my situation. I was trapped, cornered by a creature hell-bent on destroying me. Desperate for a way out, I searched the room for any means of defense, but it was too late. The creature lunged at me, its claws outstretched, ready to claim me. Just when all hope seemed lost, a blinding light filled the room, forcing the creature to retreat. I shielded my eyes, struggling to comprehend what was happening. As the light faded, I saw my mother standing in the doorway, a look of concern etched on her face. "Are you okay?" she asked, rushing to my side. Unable to speak, I nodded, still in shock from the terrifying ordeal. My mother comforted me, assuring me that everything would be all right. But deep down, I knew that what lurked beneath my bed was real, a horror that defied explanation. From that day forward, I never looked at my room the same way again. Every creak, every shadow reminded me of the creature that lurked beneath my bed, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I tried to convince myself that it was just a nightmare, a figment of my imagination, but the truth was way more terrifying. Do you think there was an actual creature in this story? Or, as you can pick up in the tone in my voice, throughout the whole story is me actually fighting my inner demons of depression and hallucinations.
Echoes of dread my night at the haunted Barlow Ranch. The wind howled outside my car window as I approached the gates of the Barlow Ranch. The chilling tales of this place had haunted my dreams for weeks, but as a seasoned paranormal investigator, I thrived on such challenges. Tonight, I whispered to myself, I'll uncover the truth behind the legend. I parked my car and took a moment to survey the desolate landscape. The Barlow Ranch loomed ahead, shrouded in darkness. Its dilapidated barns, broken fences, and eerie silence sent shivers down my spine. This is it, I muttered, grabbing my equipment and stepping into the unknown. As I approached the farmhouse, a cold mist enveloped me, obscuring my vision. The atmosphere grew tense, and a sense of dread washed over me. Suddenly, a faint whisper echoed through the air.
"Leave now or suffer the consequences."
Ignoring the chilling warning, I ventured deeper into the ranch, my flashlight piercing the darkness. Every creak, every rustle made my heart race. but I pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. Inside the farmhouse, I discovered old photographs, journals, and relics of a bygone era. One photo in particular caught my eye, a portrait of a young woman with piercing eyes and a haunting smile. Her name was Abigail Barlow, the last owner of the ranch. As I read her journal, tales of despair, madness, and unspeakable horrors unfolded before me. Abigail spoke of dark rituals, forbidden love, and a curse that plagued the Barlow family for generations.
They're here.
A voice whispered in my ear, sending me stumbling back in terror. Determined to communicate with the restless spirits, I set up my equipment and began a seance. The room grew cold, and an ominous presence filled the air. "Who are you?" I asked, trembling with fear. A chilling voice replied,
We are the Barlows, cursed to wander this ranch for eternity.
Suddenly, the ground shook and spectral figures appeared before me. Abigail, driven mad by grief and rage, led the vengeful spirits in a haunting dance of death. Desperate to escape, I fought back the overwhelming dread and remembered the ancient incantation I had learned years ago. With trembling hands, I recited the words, and a blinding light filled the room. The spirits shrieked in agony, and the curse binding them to the ranch was broken. Gasping for breath, I stumbled out of the farmhouse, vowing never to return. As I drove away, the echoes of dread still lingered, a chilling reminder of the horrors I had witnessed. Years have passed since that fateful night at the Barlow Ranch, but the memories haunt me still. The spirits may be gone, but the darkness that once consumed them remains. As I lie awake at night, I can still hear their whispers beckoning me back to the ranch, forever trapped in a nightmare from which there is no escape.
The roadhouse from hell. It was a dark and stormy night, and I was driving down a deserted road in the middle of nowhere. I was starting to get hungry, and I was about to give up hope of finding anything to eat when I saw a sign for a diner up ahead. I pulled into the parking lot and walked inside. The place was empty, except for a few people sitting at the counter. I took a seat at a booth and ordered a burger and fries. As I waited for my food, I couldn't help but notice that something was off about the place. People sitting at the counter were all staring at me, and their eyes seemed to follow me wherever I went. And my food finally arrived. I took a bite of the burger and immediately regretted it. The meat was tough and tasted strange, almost like it was rotten. I tried to push the plate away, but the waitress insisted that I finish my meal. As I ate, I started to feel dizzy and disoriented. The room began to spin, and I felt like I was going to pass out. I stumbled out of the diner and collapsed on the ground outside. Real frightening experience, must say. So when I woke up, I was in a dark room with no windows. I tried to move, but I realized that I was tied to a chair. I heard footsteps approaching, and a figure emerged from the shadows. I was thinking to myself, this could not be happening to me. I really felt like I wanted to vomit because my stress levels were over the roof. When the figure got closer, I then saw, here's the cook from the diner, and he was holding a knife. He told me that I was going to be his next meal, and that he had been waiting for someone like me to come along. He really looked deranged, and the smell that was coming off him was intense, to say the least. I started to freak the hell out. I screamed for help, but no one came. I was trapped alone, and at the mercy of a madman. I knew that my only chance of survival was to escape, but I had no idea how. The cook raised the knife, and I closed my eyes, waiting for the inevitable. But just as he was about to strike, I heard a loud noise outside. The cook hesitated for a moment, and that was all the time I needed. I broke free from my restraints and ran towards the door. The cook chased after me, but I managed to make it outside. I looked around and saw that the diner was surrounded by police cars. To say the least, I felt a relief. Words can't describe how I felt at that present time. And for the cops been there, they had a tip off to this day. Don't know who made the call. The cook was arrested, and I was taken to the hospital. I survived, but I was never the same again. Every time I drove down a deserted road, I couldn't help but wonder what horrors lay ahead, and that you get sickos out there, which no one knows of. Please be careful this festive season.
My terrifying night at Blue Turtle Waters campsite. The sun was setting as I arrived Blue Waters campsite, nestled deep within the dense, foreboding woods. The campsite's reputation was legendary among thrill seekers, boasting tales of spectral apparitions, inexplicable phenomena, and a curse that befell all who dared to spend a night. Armed with my tent camera and unyielding curiosity, I stepped into the heart of darkness. The campsite seemed serene at first glance, with tall pine trees casting long shadows and the gentle sound of water trickling nearby. However, an unsettling silence pervaded the air, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves and distant, haunting whispers that seemed to beckon me deeper into the woods. Ignoring the ominous signs, I set up my tent near a tranquil pond and settled in for the night. As darkness descended, the temperature dropped suddenly and an eerie fog rolled in, obscuring my vision and amplifying the sense of isolation. That night, I was plagued by a series of vivid, unsettling dreams. I found myself wandering through a labyrinthine forest, pursued by shadowy figures and tormented by disembodied voices whispering ancient curses. "We will kill you," they warned. Awakening in a cold sweat, I dismissed the dreams as mere figments of my imagination and ventured outside to capture evidence of the paranormal activity rumored to plague Blue Turtle Waters. As I explored the campsite, I stumbled upon a clearing adorned with ancient runes, sacrificial altars, and eerie effigies. The air grew thick with malevolent energy, and a sense of dread washed over me. Realizing I had stumbled upon an unholy ritual ground, there were animal remains. I knew I had to document my findings and expose the dark secrets hidden within Blue Turtle Waters. However, as I began photographing the sinister sight, a sudden gust of wind extinguished my lantern, plunging me into darkness. From the shadows, spectral figures emerged, surrounding me and chanting in a language I could not comprehend. Paralyzed with fear, I watched in horror as the spectral figures performed a dark ritual, invoking an ancient curse that bound me to turtle waters. The ground trembled, and the trees groaned in agony as the curse took hold, trapping me in a nightmarish realm of eternal torment. Desperate to escape, I searched for a way to break the curse and free myself from the clutches of the malevolent spirits haunting the campsite. Consulting ancient texts and invoking protective incantations, I embarked on a perilous quest to unravel the mystery of Blue Turtle Waters and confront the dark forces that held me captive. Armed with knowledge and determination, I returned to the ritual grounds and confronted the spectral figures responsible for my plight. With the help of a benevolent spirit trapped within the campsite, I engaged in a harrowing battle of wills, using ancient rituals and sacred artifacts to banish the malevolent forces and break the curse binding me to Blue Turtle Waters. As dawn broke, the darkness receded and the campsite returned to its former state of serene tranquility. Exhausted but victorious, I packed my belongings and left Blue Turtle Waters, vowing never to return to the haunted campsite that nearly claimed my soul. Time have passed since my terrifying ordeal at Blue Turtle Waters campsite, but the hell of that fateful night still haunts me. Though I escaped with my life, a part of me remains trapped within the darkness, forever bound to the cursed land that whispered promises of eternal torment and unspeakable horrors. Some places should never be visited, and I think Blue Turtle Waters campsite is one of them.
Cursed Countdown, the lavish penthouse of the Hutton's residences, was lit up like a beacon against the night sky, reflecting the anticipation of the New Year's Eve partygoers. Alara, a striking woman with a mysterious aura, was the evening's hostess. Little did anyone know that she was the unwitting vessel for a demonic force awaiting the stroke of midnight. As guests arrived, the atmosphere was electrifying. Champagne flowed, laughter echoed, and the shimmering skyline provided a picturesque backdrop. Among the attendees were Maya, an investigative journalist, and her old friend, Ethan, a skeptical paranormal investigator. As the clock neared midnight, Alara's demeanor shifted subtly. Her eyes darkened, and a sinister smile played upon her lips. The room grew colder, and an unsettling feeling settled over the guests. Unbeknownst to them, the demon within Alara had awakened. As the countdown began, the penthouse transformed. Elegant decorations twisted into grotesque forms, and the once celebratory atmosphere turned ominous. Mia, sensing the danger, approached Alara, attempting to snap her out of the trance, but before she could react, Ethan pulled her away.
Something's not right.
Ethan whispered, his eyes scanning the room for an escape route. Suddenly, Alara's voice boomed, echoing with a demonic resonance. Tonight, souls will be claimed. As the clock struck midnight, chaos erupted. Guests began to convulse, their screams echoing through the penthouse. One by one, they fell lifeless, their bodies contorted in unnatural poses. Ethan, Mia, and a handful of survivors watched in horror as Alara, or what remained of her, levitated above them. Mia, drawing upon her investigative instincts, quoted phases out loud at this demon as the survivors huddled together, barricading themselves in a corner. Alara's possessed form summoned dark entities to hunt them down. The penthouse became a prison of terror, with each step leading closer to death. With the survivors dwindling, Mia finally pieced together the incantation, channeling a powerful energy that clashed with the demon's evil forces. A blinding light engulfed the penthouse, and for a moment, silence prevailed. When the light faded, Alara lay motionless, the demon expelled from her body. Exhausted but alive, Mia and Ethan surveyed the devastation around them, mourning the loss of their friends. As dawn broke, emergency services swarmed the Hutton's residence, piecing together the tragic events of the night. The survivors, traumatized but resolute, vowed to uncover the true nature of the demonic possession and prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again. Yet, as they left the penthouse, a chilling wind whispered promises of a darkness that lurked just beyond the veil, a reminder that evil knows no bounds, especially on a cursed New Year's Eve.
Don't be scared. Drop a comment below about a scary story you know of, and please do keep the comments respectable. Don't forget to click the like and notification buttons and turn notifications on. Must say thanks for taking the time to view my content. Look out for future chilling stories from the Chills Underrated team.